my goal this year is just leadership. Everything that I can take from there. I don't care about making the extra 10 cents on this widget or this cool other thing over here. That's not my focus. Back to what's important in our goal and all those things. For me to lead this team, I have to be the best leader I can be. So getting back to that focus and trying to make things as easy as possible for our team has been the primary goal.
Welcome to the Property Management Success Podcast, where we interview leaders in the industry to uncover the secrets to profitability, efficiency, and achieving true freedom, whether it's your time, money, or lifestyle. I'm your host, Tony Cline, and I'm here to help you build a wildly successful property management business. Let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Property Management Success Podcast. Today, I am joined by Matthew Kammeyer with 5 Star Property Management out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Matthew, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Tony. Great to be here. Great to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good seeing you again. Let's start with you've got a really exciting project that you're working on, and I want to dive into that, but I want to give people a little bit of an idea of who we're talking with today. So let's kind of give a little bit of your background and how you got into property management, kind of the size of your company, size of your team, just so that we can put things into perspective as we have this conversation.
Sure. So I joke about my history that I did everything backwards. I have a degree in real estate. I studied that and went into the commercial world. I was a land developer until the economy crashed and didn't know what to do with myself. Got into short sales and property management. Hated short sales, so pursued property management for a while. Partnered up in a commercial firm. Didn't love that. Started 5 Star to do things kind of my way. And we've had 5 Star going for 12 years now. So that's been great. Running about 300 doors today. In about a week and a half, that'll be over 850, which we can talk about in a minute. But big changes for me, for us.
Yeah. And let's share the size of your current team and then what the team might look like after a week and a half or so.
Team of 6, half remote, half local. I can say probably the best team I've ever had. Putting just all the things I've learned from all the bad experiences. That's one other thing I joke about is I feel like I could write a book called The Wrong Way because I've done it all the wrong way the first time. So really got a great team now, and then we'll be a little north of 20, 21 people in about a week and a half.
I love that you talk about the wrong way, and I feel like the right way is to just continue going through the wrong way and make it to the other side. It's like I talk about how success is built on the foundation of failure, and it's what you learn in those failures that give you the ammunition and the education to continue to then turn around and do it the right way. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's great. I tell my team all the time that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm just the one that's done it all and been willing to push forward and keep going.
Yeah, keeping going, I think, is the key to success. We'll, as property management entrepreneurs, we can all sit around a table and talk about the times we wanted to quit, but there's no one to quit to because, we're the boss, we're the owner. So I know there was multiple times, more than I could count on both hands, that I would have thrown in the towel and quit if I would have had a boss to quit to, but there was nobody, and what am I going to do? So I got to keep going. Mm-hmm. But all right, well, let's talk about, we kind of teased a little bit about this project that you've got going on. So let's kind of share, because I think it's exciting to see people doing new things in the industry and also in their own companies. And this is a big leap. This is a big leap to go from that 300 door range to 850 doors. So let's talk about what that project is, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about why we decided to go down that road.
Sure. So ultimately, we serve kind of the upper half of the market of Las Vegas, primarily single-family homes. It's worked great, nice, slow, steady, consistent growth, good company, and I network a lot, with local other brokers. And, as we've had conversations, we see a lot of the same problems with ourselves, with team members, with ceilings and all of that. And of a couple people that I continuously would lean on them, they would lean on me. Started having a conversation of what would it look like if we did this, or if this were to happen. And really, he approached me. I had never wanted a partner or to work with somebody else. I like running the Matt show and doing things my way. But he started planting some seeds and poking and prodding, and I was like, no. And after a while, I really put some deep thought into it, and this is somebody that I trust more than just about everybody in the world, besides maybe my wife and family. And I lean on him for business things. He leans on me, and who else to better to join forces and kind of take over the world, if you will, than that person. We both have a slightly different skill sets that we excel at. He's a great marketing, advertising kind of guy. I love operations and finance, so putting us together was kind of a no-brainer. And then when we looked at our teams, it was almost like our teams were built to fall in alignment with each other, which was interesting. So all of that, just having more and more of those talks of what this would be, really got it going. I will give him credit. He pushed me a bit harder. I was always in like acquisition mode, like I must buy this, not be a part of something together. So it took a lot of looking at my pride and what is really best to reach my goals, and concluded that we could do this better together. 1 + 1 is 3, and get to where we both want to go quicker. As far as, what was the second part of your question?
That's a good question too. I don't remember. Okay, so
Probably because I went on for a bit.
yeah.
So I don't know if it was a how or a why question.
Yeah. Well, I do have some follow-up questions on some of the things
Okay.
you talked about. So first of all, just to give a little bit of background to some of the listeners in case they haven't followed my past. I went through a merger. We actually wound up merging 4 companies, and we had a lot of excitement and exuberance moving into the start of the merger. We had people. We elected Sean Johnson, and he was going to be our president, our CEO, the guy setting the vision and driving the way. And it's really hard to take. There were actually 6 of us partners in the end, and it was hard to take 6 partners and create something that we were going to take nationwide and get 6 people who are all used to doing their business, running their business. The Matt show, the Tony show, we had the Jay show, the Sean show. And we brought them all together and said, okay, how do we do the home vault way? How do we have that be the way forward? And I learned a lot about myself in that journey, about what I was willing to step away from, give control over to somebody else, what I was willing to take a stand for, what really mattered. Have you guys had those discussions of, it sounds like you'd already talked about sort of who was going to drive what in the business. Was that just sort of a natural flow of how you assigned responsibilities, or is there some assumptions being made there? Or I'm trying to get into your brain, because there's really exciting when it works, and it's really painful when it doesn't. And so I want to hear that process you guys went through to kind of say, this is the platform that we've chosen in order to make this be as successful as possible.
Sure. So we had a lot of tough conversations, really looking at, why am I really doing this? Why am I really doing that? Why are you really doing this? Why are you really doing that? And we had somebody facilitate this stuff for us, because we're friends first. Kids played club baseball together and little league and all these things, and really we're friends first, and we've worked to really keep that as well. But to be able to have some of those harder conversations, we did have somebody facilitate that, and we do have that, and we'll probably have this person for a few years help us as we continue this and kind of mature through this process. So it just kind of fell in place. You know, the things that he really likes to do and the things that I really like to do didn't conflict. There's no real power struggle. You know, it's more of, well, I really like doing things this way. Well, all right, you know, when we step back and look at what's best for the company and the people and the customers and all of that, it's better if we do this. So I'll step back one step further. How we did this, really, to be able to have a beacon that we were working off of, is we both operated on EOS. So we kind of went back through it and started over. A whole new VTO, Hedgehog, and for Jim Collins people, going through our 10-year, 3-year, 1-year, everything where we want this to be, our core values, and really looked at, this is the decision. Let's look over here. We've got our guide. We agreed to this. You know, we spent days doing this. We agree. So now we look at that decision. Does it fit this over here? Yes or no? Okay, then let's do it or let's not. And it's really hard when we're talking about growth and you get thrown these opportunities. And we keep getting odd opportunities. And it's really hard to say no to them, but to stay focused on what we know is most important. Luckily, we have that guide to do that, and we're both experienced it and have bought into EOS and that type of planning and commitment. So I think that's been the best thing for us, is just being able to have something that we agree on and work towards, and that's really helped our decisions.
So I coach my clients through an EOS-like platform. We're not an EOS purist implementation, just because I think there's some nuances on the property management side.
Yep.
You could implement it fully by the book, and I think you would be successful with it. But I think there's some tweaks that we've made in our practice in order to make it even better. But for those people who may not be familiar with what EOS is, can you take 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and just kind of explain what EOS is and why you believe that this helped the two of you be able to come up with a plan moving forward, since you were both already on this platform?
Mm-hmm. So there's a book called Traction by Gina Wickman that outlines this EOS, Entrepreneur's Operating System, framework for operating a business. It's all about setting goals, accountability, communication, meeting structure, and working from where you want to be, like your 10 years, and bringing it down to chunks that you can actually work on. If you say, hey, I want to go to the moon, well, that sounds wild, but what things could you do, if that were true, to actually get there? 3 years from now, you probably have to have a ship built. Well, how do you get that? A year from now, well, I probably need to have funding in place and plans to build it. Well, this quarter, what do I need to do that? Well, I probably need to identify investors and key leadership, and you just work your way back to, what can I do this quarter, and then what am I doing each week to get to my quarterly goal? That really keeps you focused, on top of having the metrics or the number that each person is responsible for, all of that.
Yeah, and one of the things that they talk about in there is getting really clear on the core values. They call it a core purpose. We still break it up into our company missions and then our company vision. Mission to me is, why do we exist? Who do we serve? Why do we exist? And then our company vision is that 3-year, 5-year, 10-year. What are we giving people to buy into, whether it's internally or externally, to belong, right? We want to give them something to, this is where we're going. Here's how you contribute. And I know that a lot of property management companies, when they get started by accident. They're either investors that just say, I can't find anybody that can do it as good as I can, so I'm going to start a management company, or they're a licensed real estate agent that just needs to make a few extra bucks, and they start managing properties, and then all of a sudden they get a few referrals, or they find a few clients, and they start building that. And then when they need help, they add a team member, but they just add a team member and don't really train them, they don't have this foundation. What do you think, by you having your core values you had with your company and he had with his, and then redoing them collectively from your core values to your core purpose, what do you think that's going to do for you guys moving forward for bringing these two companies together?
So, but the nice part of us both being on it, our teams were used to it and they'd worked through it. So, having all of that in place in advance, I think really helped keep all these people comfortable. It wasn't something completely new, and this whole thing on one thing that we've tried to work on through here is the smallest amount of change as possible. So, as many things as possible that we could keep the same, we wanted to try to keep the same. So luckily, this is pretty much the same. But so with that buy-in that we all have, it was just tweaking a little bit more to what our combined goals were. Most of our, I would say 80% of our core values overlapped. Of course, tweak of the words and things like that, but most of them were pretty much the same. Our goals, we made loftier. So I actually have two coaches. I've had one business coach since I started, which I can't say enough about. Having that person in your corner, kind of like your stuff, is probably one of the best things I ever did. But two, we have this other person that's helping us with this 10X, and I'll just briefly say he's done it a dozen times. It's proven. So we know that us getting out of our comfort zones and listening to this expert working their way, their procedures, is the way to do it. They've done it just like you probably do for your clients. This is the way. So we've really bought into that, and that's been helpful for us to just say, you know what, we're here, we're comfortable, but we know if we're going to push to these next levels and do these things for ourselves, for our teams, for our families, we need to get uncomfortable and listen to proper advice.
I'm super passionate about personal and professional transformation, and it sounds like that's what this person is helping you with. Can you share a little bit more about like that process with them? And feel free to either share who that person is or not. It's up to you. It doesn't matter. But like, you were comfortable with one version or vision of what you're trying to build, and he's coming in and helping you 10x that. And do you think he's helping you strategically, or is he helping you emotionally and mentally and giving you the confidence? Like, where's most of the impact coming from in working with him?
I would say 80-20. So 20% strategic, 80% the confidence, the vision, I know you believe this, but if it were true that you could get $1,000 or 1,000 doors a year, what would that look like? And really just open up to, okay, I know I've been only doing 100 a year, but what would that look like? Okay, and just starting to have those conversations of thinking bigger and thinking beyond the comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Just gotten really comfortable, making a fair wage and having freedom and all of that. But then, we talk about, hey, this would be cool, and he's like, okay, let's make it real. Made it real for all these other people, and he's made it real for himself. They did the same thing, kind of like you. They took EOS. The group's called Next Level Group. They took EOS and tweaked it a bit, not specifically for property management. I think we're only the second property management company they've worked with, but done other things to what they believe, what propelled their businesses to 8-9 figure companies. So yeah, really them breaking us out of what we're used to doing and truly getting us on this path. And then, having some of those hard conversations and saying, all right, here's the core things. You're telling me you want to do this and you believe you can do this. All right, here's the things that we really need to do to get there. So there's been a lot of that. One other key component is hiring the right people. They're huge on having the right team members. So they introduced us to Culture Index, and we've embraced it, did the training, and I love it. Yeah, I have some on my desk right now because we're looking for another property manager. It's helped my confidence in hiring the right people. Just hired somebody a week ago as well. That's the other fun part of this merger is we're hiring people. We're not laying people off. We're not trying to, value engineer this. It's how do we do this the right way? So that's another really fun part of this. But I love the people part of it. I was never really great at that. So them pushing us to really get this education and do that right has been very helpful for us too.
So two things that struck me when you were talking about that. The first one is being around the right people, being in the right room, connecting with the right people, people that believe in what you're doing. I always talk about when I'm sharing my story of being an ultra runner and learning, like setting my mind, is it possible to run 50 miles? I didn't continue to hang around people that were saying, "Hey, I think I might run a 10K."
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I started hanging around people who had run 100 miles because it normalized it. It just made it like it's possible. I see it. I see the people that have been able to do that, and it normalizes it. And 50 miles is only half as hard as 100 miles, and it's the easy half. It's that first half. And so I think that has such a huge impact of being around people who are doing and have done what you want to do, and just being in the room with those kind of people, whether it's in a mastermind or just as a paid client, whatever it is. I think that has way more of an impact than teaching you how to create a set of processes or something like that. That all comes out of the mindset and the belief of being able to operate and do things at a bigger and higher level. The second thing you mentioned was hiring the right people. And I don't know if you've heard me talk in the past about building a championship team. We talk about, we don't just want a team. We don't want a high performance team, but we want a championship team.
Mm-hmm.
And we can always look and say, just instinctively, would this happen or would this be tolerated on a championship team? And it's not just the people, right? It's the equipment, it's the tools, technology, training, resources. It's all of the things that go into creating that championship team. And I love the fact that you guys are leaning on Culture Index to help you build that. Could you give us just a little bit more insight on what Culture Index is for people who might not be familiar with that?
Sure. So, there's a number of different personality types and ways that people are built, wired, how they think, energy, all of that. So what Culture Index and some of the other ones do, but Culture Index is the one that we're running with, operate. They show us how much vision does somebody have, and how extreme is it? How much do they need or want to be around other people or not? How much are they pushing hard to get something done versus being patient and maybe more that listening ear for people? How much of a doer are they? How logical are they? How much energy are they putting in versus... So it also measures not only who you are, but how you are perceiving your job right now. And that's something, so the top part always stays the same, who you are, but how you are with your job. And it could be, based on your manager or your position or different company. But you can see different energy levels and where you think that you need to flex a little bit and I have to work harder to look more forward, or I need to be more patient, or whatever it is in your job. And that's not only a tool for hiring, but also a tool for managing your team, how to deal with them, how to lead them better, or even make sure they're in the right seat. I've had people that I've moved around because of this. They were a front-facing customer service person, and really that drained them. And moving them into more of an accounting role, so much happier now, and excelling at that position. So there's just the way that we're wired. That's a part of, and it's not all of it, but it's a part of success in not only the hiring, but the growth, the leadership, the working together as team members. Because that's one other thing that we're looking at. So part of Culture Index is we also get kind of a culture index coach, and every month she's going through looking at job apps with us and people, and we create profiles for roles that we're hiring for. We also look at our whole org chart and who can work the best together and who do we need supporting us, because like my partner and I, Randy, we have a certain profile. Well, we need different kinds of people than maybe you need around you or somebody else needs around them to excel, and we're able to identify those people much easier. It's just like having a cheat sheet and taking the blinders off. After I did all this training, it was amazing how I could just walk in and start talking to people, and I'm like, wow, I recognize these 4 traits. Okay, I know how to deal with you. I know what to expect. I feel so much further ahead. It's like Superman in X-ray vision. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're taking it like that serious about, if we go back to that reference of building a championship team, you need to know what players have what special abilities, and then make sure that they're positioned to be able to utilize those special abilities, and also be able to have other people on the team that can kind of fill in some of those deficiencies. Because I've looked at the culture index reports, and it's pretty impossible to be highly skilled or talented in every single category. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We have things that come naturally, and then things that we can do with effort. And then there's also areas where we're not so good. So I love that you're
Well, the other
leaning
part
into
of it
that.
is there's no wrong profile. There's just
Right.
maybe for each position, maybe they're better. And I feel a duty to bring the right people into the right positions. I don't want to just throw people on a job because we have a gap and we need to fill it. I want them to enjoy coming to work and want to be here long term, and us want them to be here long term. So this also helps me really ensure that I'm doing a good job in making their lives better, just the same as them helping our company be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I want to get a little bit practical now. I want to talk about I'd love to have you share with us. You're bringing these 2 separate teams together. Even if you guys are friends, Mark Cunningham, myself, Lyle Haas, for years, every couple of weeks, every 2-3 weeks, once a month maybe, we would get together for a breakfast. We were competitors in the same marketplace, but kind of get together, say, okay, what's going on in the marketplace, and how can we help you? Even with that, we still ran separate businesses, separate pricing structures, different product offerings at times. And so you guys are taking that sort of thing and saying, okay, let's actually marry these 2 companies and create something new. Are you going to be changing pricing structures and having a unified set? Are you mixing the teams in? Like, let's lift the hood and kind of get in and look at the technical aspect of bringing 2 companies together in a merger.
Sure. So the goal was to take 2 good companies and make them great. So we wanted to look at, just like we did with core values, how could we take other components of our business and make them great? So we spent months going through our processes. I have them all documented out in Lead Simple and run off there. And we went through process by process, step by step. I was like, all right, what is the best way to do this? And we would go through and maybe make some changes that they did or we did or things like that, and updated those. We created a whole new management agreement. We took things that we liked about each other's, kind of hashed that out a bit. What's this going to look like for our customers? Because they did treat their customers a little different than we treated our customers and clients. So what does that look like? And what is truly the best, not only today, but for the next 5 years, 10 years? What do we think is really going to be the best, and us able to set ourselves apart in the market? So we went through all of that, and I don't want to say arguments, but definitely healthy conflict on what that was. Pricing, same thing. That was kind of wrapped into the management agreement, but yeah, a lot of that was just how can we truly make this the best? Let's set ourselves aside. Let's set what's easy aside. That was really hard at first. It's kind of easy. We can do it this way, and it's been working. What we've done for the last 5 years has delivered us here safely. But breaking out of all that and how do we move from a good team to a great team was really the biggest motivator to stay on track of truly doing what's best.
So I'll share with you a couple of our failures as we went through our merger. We thought that if we sort of what I'll call have a lightning strike, where we try to change a whole bunch of things all at once, that we would have a bigger splash in the marketplace. And this was, we signed our paperwork in early 2019. We made the announcement in early March of 2020. And then, of course, that's when COVID hit. And so it changed a lot of our plans moving forward. But what we did was we created a new management agreement. We created a new name. I already had Home Vault Property Management, but after evaluating everybody's brand and looking at the different options, we all decided that Home Vault had the strongest brand and the strongest potential to create something nationwide. And so we changed the management agreement, we changed the brand, we changed email addresses for people. I mean, obviously the other ones would still forward, but we wanted to have a big splash in the industry so that we could attract other people who might want to join in with that merger. And I will tell you, it scared a lot of our clients that we had, and we lost a bigger portion of our portfolio than we should have had we continued to offer a similar level of service and then slowly made that change. So what is your strategy as you roll this out? Are you coming up with a new name? Are you combining names? What's that look like?
Mm-hmm. So comfort is important to us. We've decided that 5-star is the best name moving forward, and that'll be what works. Great reputation, branding, all of that. As far as the team, we did lose one team member. She claimed it was something else, but I really think it was the fear of the change. As far as clients, he's had some conversations. He's got a few big investors and told them what to expect, so it's not a surprise. With this not just being an acquisition, but with it being a merger, us both being here, us both still being faces, keeping that comfort, keeping those phone lines open, we're confident in that. We're keeping all the team members so that person that they're used to talking to is still there. We weren't looking to make a splash with the management agreement changes, just trying to make it easier for our team to operate, like adjusting approval amounts for maintenance, or maybe pulling out some of all the services that we include. Maybe there's an extra fee for that extra inspection, or doing a few extra things. So I mean, truly, we have the same pricing as well. So slight changes to things, but nothing. I would be surprised if a dozen clients left of the 850. We're really trying to keep things with the least amount of changes possible. Actually, no, I don't have it on my desk. I created a guide, actually. I read a few books about change and leading through change, and created a guide for our leadership team to focus on when dealing with clients, customers, vendors, everybody, so that we can make it as smooth as possible for them. Like, the whole goal is really for everybody else. If we equate it to a play. In front of the curtain, everything needs to be great. In the back, we can have a little bit of chaos and running around, but in front, we want it great for everybody. And depending on which curtain that is, that's what we're doing. So the managing the change has been highly important. And for myself, I never worked corporate America. I've only really done entrepreneurial type things, and other than some college jobs. So diving into leadership, that's been my goal. Like, we go to these conferences and things. My goal this year is just leadership. Everything that I can take from there. I don't care about making the extra 10 cents on this widget, or this cool other thing over here. That's not my focus. Back to what's important in our goal and all those things. For me to lead this team, I have to be the best leader I can be. So getting back to that focus and trying to make things as easy as possible for our team has been the primary goal. There's a lot of cool stuff we want to do, and there's a lot of cool stuff we will do, and that even our team is pushing. But I really, really care deeply about minimizing the change so that we don't have that as much splash or churn or any of that stuff.
I really love that you're leaning into the leadership piece, because I think it's a piece that often gets missed. And I know in a merger, it's probably a little bit under the magnifying glass a little bit more, because you're intentionally making changes. Mm-hmm. And so it gives you an opportunity to kind of talk about those changes and lead forward. I think that a lot of people that are running businesses, if there's not a big change, they don't focus on the leadership. They don't focus on that vision of the future and communicating where we're headed and how each person contributes. It's just sort of like, I hired you, I trained you, come to work. Hopefully you're here for 2-3 years, and then I'll replace you, because that's just the way the game is played. So I love the fact that you're leaning into the leadership piece. Between the two of you, well, let me give you one of my my beliefs. I believe that the leader of the company, one of their main roles is to, as Pablo Gonzalez calls it, be the chief evangelist. Mm-hmm. And to constantly be communicating, here's where we're headed, here's how you contribute, make sure we're making decisions, filtering those decisions through our core values, call us out when we're not operating under those core values. And I believe that when as an entrepreneur we think we've over communicated that to the point where people are sick and tired of hearing it, I believe we're about 30% of the way there. Just because we eat, drink, sleep, drive our business, they don't. They come to work and then they have their life that they focus on things that are important to them. So have you guys kind of talked through, like, who's going to be the chief flag holder that marches into battle? Is that you? Is that your partner? And what's that look like?
Yeah, that's definitely me. And yeah, I think the last number I saw was 9 times you have to communicate something for it to even be heard, let alone embraced. So we've been planning around that as well, with weekly meetings and things like that. I'm definitely the forefront of, yes, the brand, the core values, working on our bench, the whole, the typical, unfortunately, CEO and CFO roles right now. We'd love to bring somebody on, but again, looking at our goal, and I mean, we've mapped out cash flow. I mean, of course you never get it right, but cash flow for the next few years, what does that look like? When can we bring in the key hires and adjusting that and all of that? So that's why I really have fun. I really enjoy all of that part of it. And that's where selfishly that I'm excited about this merger is I'm getting taken out of a lot of the doing, the little communications and the little bit of management to really be able to elevate my team so much more, so much faster, by being able to be focused. Probably 80% more of my time spent on being intentional on our growth and training and leadership and all of that. So that was a bit of a back pocket why I'm so excited to be doing this. So that's why I get a lot of energy.
Occasionally when people ask me what I do as a coach, I'll give them the answer that I'm in the entrepreneur extraction business. Mm-hmm. And my job is to extract entrepreneurs from the day-to-day operations of their business to allow them to focus on the things that are more important strategically. And I say that you as the entrepreneur, you should only do the things that only you can do. And we should have people on the team that we can either delegate or outsource everything else that will allow you to operate at that where you are the least important person in the day-to-day operations, and allows you to focus strategically, because we're in a point in not just in our market, but in the world in general. Every single industry is being disrupted by the changes in technology, changes in expectations. And it's not a disruptor that's doing it, it's just disruption. There is so much changing. And if we don't take time to strategically think about how we're going to stay ahead of the wave, we're going to be pulled under. And I love the fact that you guys are already thinking about how can I set time aside to be able to focus on those things so that you can take the team, have it operate, give it a framework, and then you have that space to be the head cheerleader, but also the head innovator in where the company is going in the future.
So one other thing I want to point out about all of this is it made me a better husband and dad as well, because I've given myself permission to think in this mindset and hold myself more accountable and do all these things. When I go home, I don't just shut that off. So now it's like, okay, kids, what are we, what should we accomplish every week? What are things that we can all do to contribute? What are things that, I can help you do, you can help me do, and we can have a better household? And we've created those things. And, being very intentional on time with my wife or each child, or fun. I bought a classic car and just giving myself permission to go tool around in my old car, that's changed for me as well, because again, changing my mindset is really just changing all parts of my life, my health, my fitness, all of that. So it didn't just get me out of a rut of a complaint or, dealing with some of that stuff, but it did move it to other parts of my life, and being very intentional with everybody around me.
I got two more questions for you, and then we can wrap up. But I wanted to ask you, what do you see as the landmines? Like, what? I know you guys have done like a SWOT analysis. So like, what's going to happen if everything goes smooth? Here's where we're going to go. What are the things that could take this thing down and make it not be a success? Because I know there are other people that are listening to us that have a buddy in the industry. They've had these talks over lunch. I'm thinking about doing this. I'm excited but nervous. Let's give them a way to kind of look for some of those things that might jump out and grab them that they're not thinking about.
Well, I would just say the things that we aren't thinking about. Having cash available. Like my primary coach is just like, get a line of credit. You may not need it, but you won't be able to get it when you need it. So have it ready now. So we're preparing for that. Just the 2020s, the COVIDs, the whatever things that can happen that are out of your control. For example, something else we're doing is a big thing that seems to throw us off currently is somebody leaving, getting fired or quitting or something like that. So what we did is we have a primary person for each process and task within that. One of our gentlemen calls it the throat to choke, the one person. But then the backup person that is there, so that when this person's out, it's not, oh, hey, Matt, can you step in and do this? Or, can you do that, because this person's not there. So having a bench, so moving further at that. And then as well as a training chart as far as who can be training up to that next position. So bench is a big thing. And just some protections in place. Like, to me, money really is a big protection. So having some savings, having a line of credit, being ready for storms or opportunities. And it seems like we get more opportunities, which has been amazing. So being ready for those as well.
Okay, I've talked about what could go wrong. Now let's look at the future here. So first of all, this is kind of a two-part question. First one is, what did you hope to get out of doing this merger? Because you were running a good business, profitable business. Things were probably fairly smooth, and you are now creating a lot of chaos and disruption and friction, and that friction will smooth out and we'll be back into flow. But there had to be something personally that was driving you to make this decision to merge. It can be money. It can be just the sense of accomplishment, the finding your limits. So I want to kind of hear why you're doing it, and then let's kind of wrap up with what the future looks like over, say, the next 2 years, or whatever time frame you want to use.
Sure. So for myself, as I've learned, in studying people and profiles and all those things, I've learned that I never get enough. Whatever it is, I just want one more thing and want to move forward. And this brings me to a level where I'm really excited about just getting to where, the BHAG, to the, the lofty goals, or whatever you want to call it. So that's exciting to me, for one. I always want something a little bit bigger. And then I also see people that have done this, and in my mindset is never like a pity party. I'm like, well, if this guy can do that, so can I. Well, if this person's no better than me, I can do this too. I just need to think more, allocate different resources, do something differently, but I can reach this goal or go beyond. So I just love a bit of that challenge. I'm making the money, I've got the freedom, all that's cool, but reaching these bigger goals and being able to do bigger things. Of course, there's always the good thoughts of, oh, my kids go to the best schools and, have a great home and have some legacy and thing like that. But I could do that on a normal job. I could create some things for them different ways. But I really love shooting for the stars. It's just, my mind's always in the clouds. So that's a lot of fun for me. And that's probably a big part of it. It's fun. I like the challenge. I probably sat complacent for about a year, and it was kind of boring, and it just didn't fit me. Like, I don't think I would be retired very well. I would probably have 10 different hobbies that I'm doing, probably until the day I die. So I'm one of those guys. As far as the goals, our goals are, the primary goal for the rest of the year is a very smooth merge. So making sure the team's good, clients are good, vendors are good, just we're building great processes to put everything together and maybe have some growth in place. Like, we're working on 4 different hires right now. Part of it is business development, because next year our goal is to double. So we want to have all the framework in place by the end of the year. And that's just property management. That's not counting either acquiring or hiring some people to help set up maintenance, cleaning, landscaping companies. So there's a lot of things going on, but for now it's setting, this year is the year of the framework. 26 and beyond is firing the cannonballs.
Nice. I love it. I think having those lofty goals, I think there's something inherent in being an entrepreneur that no matter what you're doing, you feel like, I've got a mission, I've got a vision, and I'm capable of more. Now, there may be some things that make you fearful in that, like, am I good enough to do it, or what if I fail? But I think there's just something that drives us that says, I need to click off that next box. And I'm just really excited for you. You and I have known each other for a long time, and it's really exciting to watch this journey. I would love to give our audience a peek into the business in 6 to 12 months and just circle back around to this conversation and say, hey, here's what we planned. Here's where we thought the potholes were. Here's where the actual potholes were. And then here is some successes that we didn't even know that were on the horizon that we were able to achieve. And so if you're open to that, I'd love to circle back around and continue this conversation.
That'd be fun. I love
All
that.
right, absolutely. Well, I will give you the last word. I know you had mentioned that you had a couple of things that you took notes on in case you had something you wanted to cover. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we should have covered that I didn't give you space to do so?
One thing maybe that I think would be helpful for the audience were some of my learning moments so far. So maybe just highlight a couple of those.
Sure.
I spent 6 figures on attorneys. I didn't have to. I got run around by them a bit. I let them control things a bit because this was my first rodeo. I should have either negotiated like a fixed price or taking more control and not let them control the narrative as much. Probably could have saved 20 grand, controlling things more my way. We did that with our accountant and that worked great, but didn't do it with the attorneys, and that was a really expensive lesson. There were some things with my instincts that, I thought, and maybe I just tried to let go, and later on they came true. So trusting your gut. Having great people in place to help move things forward. So sometimes having an outsider just to bounce ideas off of. Like one of my best friends is a business owner in a completely different business, and just having somebody to bounce things off of, like, hey, does this sound right? Was really helpful. And now I'm kind of reaping the rewards of hiring to my weaknesses. Now with the culture index training, I'm able to find those right people, and I have a couple of them sitting in my office right now that we've hired in the last month, and it makes me more excited and confident hiring more of those people. So don't be afraid.
Perfect. All right. Are you going to be at the Broker Owner Conference in a few weeks?
I will. It's going to be a whirlwind. I'm taking my kids on my wife and I are taking my kids on a cruise down the Caribbean, and then get on a plane, go to Colorado. So I might be sunburned and tired, but I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm similar thing. I'm going to be speaking in Texas, get off the plane. Then luckily being in Colorado, Broker Owner is an hour and a half drive. So I'll land at the airport, swap out my bag, go down to Broker Owner, spend those days there, and then I will fly out and go and do a consulting project in Seattle. And so, yeah, it's fun being busy. It's fun working with different companies and fun. And I know you're going to have a great time in the Caribbean. So I will look forward to hearing those stories when we connect down at Broker Owner.
Yeah, look forward to it. Thanks,
all right, man. Thanks so much for sharing your journey here with us and with our audience. And I can't wait to see the success that you all achieve.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks for tuning in to the Property Management Success Podcast. We'll be back with another value-packed episode to help you level up your property management game. If you've got something valuable out of today's episode, please share it with a friend or colleague, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review so you never miss out on future insights and strategies and tactics. Until next time, here's to your success.